Hello good people and welcome back to Level Up Your Openings. If you're thinking of a response to c4 or d4 is black to maximize highly dynamic attacking games or chances, then the response of f5, the Dutch or Dutch-like defense is just for you. Today we're going to look at two chess games where black plays f5 and punishes white's hesitations and or compounding blunders. I hope this video serves you well. Let's boost that ELO. Let's get it.
Round one, fight!
So just a quick recap for the Dutch defense. If it's d4 and f5, occupying and attacking different squares on both sides. And let's say if c4, then f5 as well. d4 push, again, occupying differences in squares. And this is more Stonewallish, which we'll talk about in the first game. Oh, before I forget, if you do like this content, find it tolerable and it's helping your chess journey, please leave a like and sub. I stuttered there. Please leave a like and sub anyway. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. So the first game involves us playing as black, evidently, because we need to use a defense. c4, the English opening by the opponent, and now e6. You may be wondering, bro, you told us f5. We'll get there. e6 first, knight to f3, and now f5. Priorities are different. It's asymmetrical. Now this is weak for our king, but this is the nature of defense. Knight to c3, knight to f6. Now we're attacking e4 twice, g3 fianchetto, and now d5, directly attacking or occupying d5 to triple our influence on e5. b3. Now, just going back there, the opponent played b3. And if you're opportunistic in the idea of occupy space, not the final frontier, then d4, say b3, d4 is for you in that sense, but that's not how this game was played. Say after, you get knight to c6, bishop to b2, and now you have a nice center. At the expense, of course, of your bishop's not developed yet, and this weakness in f2. If that's the kind of game you want, go for it. But in this game, after b3, we play c6. This becomes a little bit of a problem, but now you have a very strong influence on e4. d4, bishop to d6, bishop to g2, castle, castle. Both sides completed development. Our issue is, of course, the bishop, but we have a very good kind of influence or control on e4. Queen to e8, shuffling and putting it in a more relevant square. Bishop to b2, knight b to d7, developing the knight, queen to c2, and now queen to h5. And now this is kind of a stable position where both sides have to develop. What are the plans? Here, the opponent plays knight to d2. Instead of just the super solid e3, at which point we have to develop this bishop, but also kind of get a breathing room by pushing a5, rook to c1. Keep the structure stable, but also, hey, limit the squares on the queen side for the opponent. In this game, though, after queen to h5, knight to d2 was played. And what would you play in this kind of setup? f4 was played by black, trying to crash through. If you don't want to strengthen the squares on your king side, then of course we'll break it open. And of course this is just plain bad, because you fracture this, and what are you going to do about this weak square on f2 there, or rather h2? After knight to f3, you wasted a tempo and you broke the fianchetto defense. So f4 was played, rook 2, fe1, And now, what do we do here? You almost have a semi-open file. Play knight to g4. Threaten mate. Black, or rather white, hesitates by one move. You take territory and you take more time by attacking. Knight to f3 is the appropriate defense here. But in the game, knight to f1 is what the opponent played. Well, let's make our intention known. And the intention is twofold. Maintain the checkmate threat there. Compound the power that the bishop has there on d6 and open this up. And how do we do that? Well, simply takes. So f takes on g3. How do you finish this game off? Knowing that you have this threat, knowing that this exists, and guess what? There is another square that's weakened up. That's e3. Well, you sacrifice the rook, which is the whole theme of the game. Brilliant, because after that, guess what? Goodbye, queen. And after f takes, what to do here? What to do? Well, bishop takes. Of course. This leads to what? Checkmate. All the lines are forced, man. And if takes, you guys already know it. Position's too weak. Rook takes! Sacrificing the rook and winning the game. Again, we'll do a recap. We'll go to the next game now, okay? The next game is purely a Dutch defense with some offbeat moves by white, and it's a good way to practice your idea of tactics. d4, f5, c4, knight to f6. Knight to a3, an offbeat variation. Since you're the one playing black, that's kind of awkward because knight to c3 is better. You have a better influence. But in this game, and these guys are highly rated-ish, I believe, up to 2200. That's the variation the white played. Very strange. Knight in the rim is dim. e6. Knight to f3. d5. d5, yeah. Now the idea is, of course, I can't draw. 1, 2, 3. Again, the bishop is a little suspect, but b3 by the opponent. Tremendous, right? How do you punish this? In 3, 2, 1. With a simple bishop to b4. Check. You block here, this drops. So knight to d2. And how do you compound on that advantage? It's a pin. What do you do? Knight to e4. One of the kind of not rarer cases, but you know when you have an advantage and the strategic idea is to compound or increase that advantage here, take over e4 immediately. So it moves like bishop 2. b2 doesn't work anymore because you simply chomp that down. So knight to b1 was played by the opponent. Not pretty. And that, my friend, deserves a blunderous praise. So what to do in this position? Well, black played knight takes on f2. King is here. And you can kind of see that both the king and the rook are hanging out in the dark square. So queen to h4. Push takes, and the game is over. After push takes. But what if the white king becomes a bit more adventurous, and after this check, goes to e3. It's crazy, eh? The king is developed as the only piece in the battle. Look how bad white's pieces are. Well, black pushes e5. A great move. Now you're threatening this. And if takes, check. This is locked. This is bad. If you migrate there, it's a world of hurt. So king goes to d4, and now you have knight to c6. Just free development. The king is nonchalantly in a minefield. King takes. If king takes, queen to d8, it's mate. Because of that, boom, 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 boom. Game over. If the king retreats to d3, well, check. Open check. Check. And 1. No exit squares. That's game over, guys. So, quick recap. So, recap number 1, c4, e6. Knight f3, f5. Knight c3, knight f6. Hitting twice, defending once. g3 fianchetto, d5. Just hit the middle immediately. b3, c6. Stonewallish, d4, bishop to d6. Bishop to g2, castle, castle. And now you have queen to e8. Knight to d7, queen to c2, queen to h5. Increasing the influence in the squares. Knight to d2 by the opponent. The strongest move is here. Then you have ideas of expansion. All is well in both realms. There is a struggle. But if you notice the opponent letting it slip a bit and playing any other move than this, say knight to d2, push. Push it. Open this up. Rook to e1. Knight to g4. Threaten the mate. Appropriate response is knight to f3. I don't know why opponent would waste that many tempo, but knight to f1 was played, and now open it up. Open this up. Open the f file. If take's there, take. Game over. Why? Boom. Of course, if anything else takes over, that's mate. And if you take here, that's check, and rook to f2 is mate. That's the first position. The second position is d4, f5. c4, knight to f6. Knight to a3, offbeat, e6. Knight to f3, d5. And then the opponent weakens it with b3. All this is weak. This is defended once. So bishop to b4. Boom. And now hop into the pony. Sacrifice on f2. Check. Double attack there. If the king migrates, like I mentioned, look how bad the position is. Push. Open up the lines. Takes. Check. Knight to c6. Aim for checkmate. And of course the other variation is push. Check. Check. They go back. Bishop to f5. Free development. And a king that wants nothing but danger. Just defying the laws of chess. Check. Check. Game over. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Got something out of that. I used to play the Stonewall when I was a wee lad, but I haven't played OTB in a while. There's some wisdom to be gained in all types of openings, but today it's f5. Hope you guys got something out of that. I'll see you guys later. Double peace.